Hey guys, welcome to Staying Salty. My name is Miranda, and this week we're going to be talking about clinical trials. I'm actually participating in my first clinical trial right now, and I'm not exactly able to talk about the specifics of what I'm doing or taking, but I can talk about what the experience has been like for me, how I felt about it, what I've been scared about, what I've been excited about, and how I feel just about participating in something that is so important to the CF community. I'm also going to be heading over to my clinic and questioning my doctor on her own opinions on clinical trials and the CF community, how important they are to our community and just to the medical world in general. And I've also questioned a lot of my CF friends that have other illnesses that aren't CF, and just friends and family in general on what would they want to know going into a clinical trial, what are things they're scared about, and what are just commonly asked questions. And I'm also going to ask my doctor those on camera so we can get some of those answered from a professional.
I got cystic fibrosis. See, I've got cystic fibrosis.
Alright, so I guess just start off with introducing who you are.
I'm Dr. TUPAYACHI, and I'm an adult cystic fibrosis doctor.
How important are clinical trials for the CF community?
So they're actually really important. Those are the trials that have actually helped us come up with medications that help our patients, from simple medications, from respiratory treatment and enzymes, to more sophisticated medications now, the gene therapies, and we cannot do it without the clinical trials.
What advice would you give to someone looking into participating?
I would tell them, first, ask your doctor. There are clinical trial centers all around the US. I'll say first ask your doctor and tell them that you are actually interested, because sometimes we just assume that we're not interested. And sometimes we actually get surprised.
What's the best way to ask to get involved, or how do you get involved if you're nervous to ask your doctor?
Maybe just ask, are there any trials that I am available, that I will qualify, and are there any available trials, or do you have any trials running in the center, or where are the closest centers for trials? I think that's a good one.
Does having multiple illnesses disqualify someone from participating?
There are all types of trials, and each trial have their own inclusion and exclusion criteria. So it's not a set that if you have a lot of illness will disqualify you. It depends on each trial.
Do you have to change your diet and lifestyle to be in a trial?
Also, there are different types of trials. So maybe some of them would ask you to modify it in a little way, but in general they shouldn't make big lifestyle changes.
Can the patient drop out if there are bad side effects or if they just get uncomfortable?
They can always drop out. It's any trial, it's voluntarily. You can always say, I don't want anymore at any point, and your safety comes first. So if we see that the medication or whatever we're trying is making you worse or sicker, we probably will be the first saying, we'll stop it. So yeah, your safety comes first, and you can always stop it.
Are there any other common misconceptions about clinical trials?
Yeah, there are a lot of patients and a lot of people around that think that we are trying things because of trying, and actually for some medications to get into clinical trials, they have come up several years of a lot of not trials, of studies for safety, for efficacy. So it's not easy that even a medication gets to a clinical trial. So they've done a ton of trials before getting to that point. So a misconception is that we are using them as guinea pigs, but as I say, they've done a lot of safety issues to try to avoid any possible damage. And if we're getting to a trials, is because we need to check in the population that we want if they're actually going to work, and maybe that's the only way, and also the only way to have new treatments and move forward.
Is there anything else you would want to say about clinical trials to CF patients out there?
To be open for them, because there are all types, as I said. Always ask your doctors, and if they don't know or don't give you an answer, look online, because there are a lot of resources online and a lot of centers that can do it.
Awesome. That's it. Thank you. That was great. So with this being my first clinical trial, you might be wondering, how did I get involved? Did I always want to be involved? Why am I starting now? And what's my opinion on just clinical trials in general? And to that, I have a lot to say. I've always wanted to be in clinical trials. I always felt like me as a CFer and all that I go through and all that all of my friends go through and just the CF community in general, I just feel like it's for a purpose. And I'm not going through all of this and feeling awful and going through all of these things with hospitals and treatments and pills and pain and it's really scary moments. I'm not going through all of this for nothing. And if I'm going to go through it, which I have no other choice, why not make it worth something for younger generations or just for my community in general? And so I always wanted to be involved, but the CF clinic that was closest to me, I didn't feel safe at, and so I really was never able to participate in them because I didn't have a safe CF center around me, and I really didn't have any other choices at the time while I was growing up. So when everything blew up with my family last year, I really wanted to make a point as to making my health even more of a priority in a way that it wasn't able to be in the situation that I was living in prior with the way that my family was. And so I was researching different clinics. I was, I've always really dedicated this huge amount of hope into the pipeline that they have on the foundation's website. And so I would really go into that, see what I might be able to do, look into which places were doing it. I tried to figure out some type of way to get there, and it wasn't in the cards for me to do it that way. Then I moved here, and when I was in the hospital, I started talking to one of the doctors that was doing rounds about clinical trials that they did there and what did they have available and how do you get involved, because I've always wanted to be involved, and I was finally at a CF center that I felt safe at. And so I knew that if I was ever going to do it, now was the time, especially with the amount of time that I currently am putting into making my health a full-time job right now, because that's what my body needs. I don't remember if I had spoken to my actual doctor about this before or after the conversation with the doctor doing rounds, but I do know that I eventually told her one way or another that I did really want to be involved. And so I think it was about 2.5, 3 months ago, I got a call from someone that works in the research place here, and she had heard that I wanted to be involved and they thought that I was qualified for something. In the process of moving from Louisiana to here, just about all of my files have gone missing. So I had to redo sweat tests and things of that nature to prove I had CF to even be able to be qualified to be in any type of study. Which was really cool to see exactly how they did that nowadays, because I don't remember, I was 5 days old when they did the sweat test when I was a baby, but it was really cool to see exactly how they do it now. So after I got the sweat test and all of that stuff done and I was accepted into the trial, all of the fun stuff started, but also the scary stuff. And I'm not really allowed to talk about any of the stuff involving the study. All I can really talk about is kind of like my emotions through it and what the process has been like. Everyone that's working with me in the research center has been amazing and super supportive, and I've been able to text them and tell them exactly what my side effects have been, if I've had any, and talk through things that I might be worried about or excited about. The thing that's important to note is before anything gets to this point in a trial, so many safety precautions have been done to make sure that we'll be safe, and I have the ability to drop out any time that I'm not feeling okay, which is really comforting There have been a couple of scary moments where I wasn't really sure, but I was able to talk to the doctors and talk through it all, and I have my partner and my family and friends that I've been able to work through it all with. And there's exciting things where things start to feel really good and you're like, I wonder if this is from this or if it's not, but if it is, that's so exciting, and if it's not, well, it's really great that I'm feeling good. So it's been an amazing process. It's also been really nerve-wracking. I feel really great knowing that my actual doctor is also working with the study that I'm in, so if anything happens, she's going to be aware of it, and so we're able to work around my care one way or another. So if anything were to happen, I really do feel safe. It's so weird that I can't sit here and talk to you guys about everything, because when I had first started Orkambi, the FDA had already approved it, so when I was going through all these crazy things, I could talk to you guys about it. That's really how I got started here on YouTube talking about CF. And so now I'm going through all these things and I want to talk to you guys about it and tell you, because that's what I'm used to, but I'm not able to. So, really, I guess I could just give you some advice coming from someone that's been going through all of this for the first time. I think something really important is what I've kind of made the theme of what I've been talking about here, is just to make sure that you feel safe. I mean, I didn't do clinical trials for 23 years because I didn't feel safe in the environment that I was in, or didn't feel safe to even go to the CF center because I wasn't even there for half of my life. I went to a different hospital. And now I'm at this place that I feel super safe with doctors that I trust and a just entire healthcare team that I'm able to talk to and work with, and it's been really awesome. Sometimes it can feel just like a regular clinic visit, and other times there's a lot more in depth into exactly what these research visits can lead to. Something that I think is really important whenever you're involved in a study is just to make sure that you're really taking care of yourself and you're paying attention to everything that's going on in your body. If you're not sure exactly what could be going on, just like have a notebook and just write down everything you're feeling every day. That way, if something seems a little off, maybe even start doing that like a week before you're supposed to start whatever in this trial, so you know kind of what your baseline feelings are, and then work your way through that. That way you're able to keep yourself informed and your healthcare team. Something that I also think is super important in all of this is just to keep in mind how hopeful these clinical trials can be for the CF community. Even if something doesn't go right, it's a step in the right direction, because any failures that happen in a trial, these people that are working in research can work on that and build on it and make something even better that can help our community later on, even if it's not in what you're doing in this moment. I mean, without clinical trials, we wouldn't have enzymes, we wouldn't have pulmazine, we wouldn't have albuterol or any steroids or antibiotics or Orkambi and Kalydeco and Symdeko. We wouldn't have any of these things without these trials. Our lives have literally been based on people before us doing exactly what we're doing, participating in these trials. And that in itself is so exciting and filled with so much hope, and I'm filled with so much pride that I'm able to partake in this to help in some way create a better future, not just for myself, but for our entire CF community. And so if you have any questions about clinical trials that haven't been answered by either my doctor or myself, I'm going to leave a couple of websites in the description down below. Also, let's talk about this in the comments. Have you been in clinical trials? Are you interested? Are you scared? How do you feel about it? One day, hopefully, I'll be able to talk to you guys about exactly what I'm going through in the trial that I'm in now. But until then, let's just talk about trials in general and the excitement and hope that it really has for our community. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up and share it if you found it useful and you want to spread awareness on the importance of clinical trials in our community. If you haven't subscribed to our channel already, hit the subscription button as well as the notification bell so you can be notified every time we put up a new video. I'm going to put my social media accounts as well as the channels in the description down below. And until next time, remember to stay salty.